Well, I am very excited to be here today. Through my years, I've interviewed a lot of interesting musical personalities, including the guys from Devo, Deb Goosh from My Bloody Valentine, Colin Hay from Men at Work, Frank Black from the Pixies. The list goes on and on. But I think I'm most excited today to be interviewing a local celebrity and, in my opinion, musical personality. Of course, I'm talking about Biba Pickles. Biba, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And yes, hopefully I put you in good company there. I know you're down with Devo and some other bands as well.
Yeah, no, you named all the right ones.
Very cool, very cool. Well, Miss Pickles, we are here at Lee Golde Studio, and I kind of wanted to have you tell us a little bit about this. This is a venue that just recently opened up, not that long ago, I guess. Tell us a little bit about where we're at right now.
Well, so this is a art gallery / event space, and my boss Leonard started it up. He started work here in July and then opened it up in October, and I got hired on Thanksgiving but started work December 2nd, so I've only been here for barely 2 months, and this is where I book shows for all kinds of bands, and he books art installations here, and so that's basically the purpose of the space.
I had read an article in Mustang News January 7th talking about Leonard, your employer, and his vision for this space being really kind of focused on the post-college sort of demographic, 25 to 35. And he feels really strongly that there's a real need here in San Luis for that kind of venue. Could you tell us more about that vision?
I don't know how Leonard feels. I know how I feel, and there's a lot that needs to happen in SLO. There's a lot in SLO catering to Cal Poly students, and people forget that there are locals that need something to entertain them. And so Leonard is the art aspect and I'm the music aspect. And he was very vague in his interview, probably because he has a very broad vision of what he wants for the space, and I kind of feel the same way too. But we just want a place where people can come and have fun and learn about new things, and we want it to be all inclusive and not just catering to one demographic.
Yeah. Well, I know, Pickles, I mean, through the years, you've been involved in so many creative projects through the years, musically as a DJ, as a musician. I've seen you perform, awesome. And also, more recently, not too long ago, in trying to kind of get a DIY kind of venue going in here in San Luis Obispo. So you actually have quite a bit of experience, more than most, about what it's like to try to create an open space for young folks to come and perform and see, hear music, see art, et cetera, et cetera. How is Lee Golde different than what you were trying to do before with like Frankie Teardrops, your prior venue that you were involved in?
Well, Frankie Teardrops was a communal space / venue. So there's a lot different with it. Frankie Teardrops, the initial idea was started by a collective of people, me included, and we were all co-owners, but there were people like kind of coming and going out of like responsibility and things, and I tried to stick with it till the last day, and I think that I did, and I worked really hard on it, and it was just kind of hard because there wasn't like one person in charge, and also we were all young and broke, and so there was no influx of money other than us doing shows, and so it was really hard on us. Whereas Lee Golde, I think that it's different because, well, Leonard is really established and knows what he wants, and he has invested wisely to have this space, and he's invested in me wisely, knowing that I do a really good job. I am professional, but I'm also fun. And so I think that having that financial stability and having just us two working on all of this makes it successful because there isn't a reliance on a giant group of people. Yeah. But I loved Frankie's very much. I miss it a lot, but that is what I learned from there is what I'm taking in here, and I think that I've learned from all of my mistakes, and I'm applying that knowledge here.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, looking at kind of the demographic of folks that used to go to Frankie Teardrops, all ages, very young folks, are you seeing a lot of crossover, a lot of folks that you'd see at Frankie's have heard about Lee Golde and are coming over here, or is it a different demographic of folks that are really vibing off the new venue?
There's all kinds different people. I see people from Frankie's coming here, like I see the young kids coming here and seeing shows, but I'm also seeing like older people that I saw from shows when I was a teenager. And so it's like a big family reunion. I'm seeing like everybody that I've ever known from the music scene coming here. And that's what I like about it, is that like I would see the same people come to Frankie's all the time, and it made me sad because there are some people that I wanted to come that didn't come because they might have felt uncomfortable about something, like, oh, I'm too old, or like, I don't know, like maybe like I won't feel welcome. But for whatever reason, like people just love this space, like the lighting and the disco ball and like this backdrop behind me. They love everything, and so I'm just seeing everybody come out, and it makes me really happy. It's like I get to see everybody that I want to see here.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I've heard some buzz. I mean, this place has only been opened not very long, and I've seen some of the photos. I haven't had the pleasure yet of coming to a show, but very excited to do so. But I've seen some of the photos of you guys just having a packed house with a lot of very cool artists from out of the area, King Walrus and the Magicians, a lot of cool bands that normally wouldn't necessarily have an opportunity to play in SLO. They get to stop here, and also local bands as well. How has it been for the shows for the musical acts that you guys have had so far? What's that been like? Very successful, good turnout? What are some of the bands saying about being able to perform at a venue here in San Luis?
I would say that everything has been super positive. Like I've had a whole different slew of genres come through here. Like I've had like punk, I've had goth, folk, country, all kinds of stuff happening, and there's going to just continue to be more different types of genres, and a lot of bands are bands that I've already worked with and have established a friendship with. And so since I've worked with so many bands, they all are aware of what I'm doing and want to be a part of it. So I'm really excited about that, and they have friends that are forming new bands, and so it just spider webs out. So we get bands that I'm already friends with and new bands that I become friends with. And as for the crowd, I mean, it's been pretty packed every night. We had one pretty like chill night, but it was really nice. I mean, we've never had a bad show in my opinion. I mean, we've never had like a truly slow night because we don't overly saturate the space. I mean, we have shows probably at max 4 times a month, and it's so nice. It's really been great. Like I would say top-notch crowd, bands, and the overall vibe of the show. Well,
Pickles, I also wanted to talk, I met you through KCPR, and you were a longtime DJ, had a number of shows, including the Biba Pickles Variety Hour, a variety show. And you're obviously just very passionate about music. I've seen you at a lot of local shows. You were responsible, at least as far as I know, at some point for bringing Calvin Johnson to San Luis Obispo, an artist that we had the pleasure of interviewing and seeing many times. I'm a huge fan of him and the Beat Happening. Looking back, I'd imagine that music was a very important part of your life from an early age. To what extent has music inspired you? I mean, when you were growing up as a little girl, I mean, were you listening to music? Is music part of the tapestry, one of the threads in the tapestry that is Pickles?
I'm going to blow your mind right now. Was not even into music until I went into middle school. My aunt I was raised by my aunt. Okay. She hated like all kinds of music except for country music. She thought the Beatles were dirty hippies that had long hair. My grandpa would listen to Elvis and stuff like that and all these oldies that I was into, but I didn't really know anything about them. When I was in middle school, like that's when I like got into music. Mm-hmm. I remember like all these like punk kids were like, okay, like you're obviously a loser like us, so you need to hang out with us. And so they showed me like all this music. That's when I got into the Beatles and the Ramones and the Dead Kennedys. Like those were all like my favorites. And then when I got the internet when I was 14, I just like spent all of my time on the internet reading about Two Virgins, the John Lennon and Yoko Ono experimental album. So I was reading about like all this stuff. And I was like, okay, I know I like David Bowie.
I was just going to mention Bowie. I think I've seen some of the wonderful caricatures, or you've definitely tried to represent yourself as Bowie physically. I've seen some wonderful photos of you in representing different phases of David Bowie's early career, and it's most impressive. So you are a fan, I guess.
Yes. been a David Bowie fan since I was in 7th grade. I had socks that said Rebel Rebel. I had a triangle patch with the Aladdin Sane album cover on it. I went as David Bowie for Halloween, and the entire week before Halloween, every day I would dress as a different phase of Bowie. And, like, I've always been into, like, painting my face and stuff like that. I wouldn't say that I'm, like, copying him or anything like that. I just, like, I love painting my face. I love other people that are eccentric and artistic like that. Because I don't just love Bowie, I love Mark Bolan. And I love, like, early Genesis before they got, like, terrible. I like Peter Gabriel.
You like the prog rock. I mean, the early prog rock. Yeah.
Yes, like Watcher of the Skies type, yeah.
And I've seen you at some concerts for some classic artists. Cherie Currie from the Runaways performed about a year ago, and I remember seeing you there at that show, and it was just lots of fun.
Yeah, I've liked the Runaways since I was also in middle school, because, like, they were really tough chicks, and I kind of represented myself as a tough chick, like, throughout my life. Was in a lot of fights when I was going to elementary school, which is, my elementary school is actually 2 blocks up from Lee Golde. I went to Hawthorne Elementary School my entire elementary school year. And
now, full circle. It's amazing. And now you're showing all those little kids on the playground what is possible if they follow their dreams and don't get too bought into the sort of the myths of being successful or something. I don't know.
Yeah, don't follow what culture is telling you to do. Don't, like, follow fads. Don't follow fashion. Create personal style. And, like, I feel, like, way more fulfilled. Like, I haven't been in a fight in a long time. I used to get fights all the time in elementary school because I just was, like, a mad little kid. And I feel like whatever feelings I have, I express in a creative manner instead of a volatile manner, which is, like, what I think that kids don't understand, which they need to.
Kind of speaking to the therapeutic value of music, and for those troubled youth out there who really need a fix, coming to Lee Golde perhaps may ground them in ways that no amount of Ritalin or Ambien or anything like that may do. Is that right? Is Lee Golde the new drug for the youth of San Luis Obispo?
I hope so, because I want to get high off of this. Just, like, I want to be able to, like, be at work here and be like, I feel great. And maybe the Red Bull, I don't know.
Very cool. And almost not realizing you're working because you're having so much fun and it doesn't even feel like work, right? Well, Pickles, I know that you also had been involved in print magazines before, in a very multimedia, including a zine, a local zine called Swap. Right, and you wrote some really interesting articles in Swap. I remember reading one about you. If I may disclose this, I don't know if if maybe the statute of limitations is passed on this, but I saw something about you maybe shooting or holding a firearm or something to that effect, and it was an interesting, informative article. Could you tell us a little bit about that situation?
Well, I wrote a story about Burger Records. I interviewed them. I was shooting at a shooting range for my 22nd birthday, and basically, like, I was wearing a Burger Records shirt and I was shooting 22s with Boy Scouts, and so I just, like, had my friend take a picture of me with, like, a gun in the air and pointing to my Burger Records shirt, and I sent them that as a Christmas card, and I put that into my story in Swap.
You're not necessarily repping the NRA right now, per se, or anything like that, but just...
No, I just like shooting guns. I like archery. I like a bunch of things. I have, like, a bunch of hobbies. Like, I paint my face, and I like sewing and stuff like that. I have a bunch of hobbies, and I don't really like to, like, limit myself. Like, if I haven't done something, I'll try it once. And if I like it, I like it.
I have also had the pleasure of seeing you perform stand-up. And that was pretty cool. I saw you with Sal Espana, also KCPR alumni. Very cool guy. Well, any chance in the future that here at Lee Golde we may have an opportunity to see some stand-up comedy? Is that in the works?
March 1st, Bigfoot Comedy Group is going to be here. I'm going to be doing a stand-up opening up for the show, so yes.
Wow, so world premiere, you heard it here first, or something. I always like to pretend like people...
You did.
Did we?
Yes.
Because it was like me talking about, I interviewed Mark Gardner. I pushed him about Ride getting back together and maybe being at Coachella. And a month later, they announced getting reunited, and he sent me an email, and he said, Jason, you were right. I just couldn't tell you at that moment. So I really pride myself on getting the inside scoops, and very excited to get one today with Pickles. Wow, so coming up in March, very exciting. Well, one last plug for Lee Golde, leegolde.com. A lot of exciting things happening. Again, looking at folks out there, if you could kind of inspire folks why they should come down here and support what you're doing in 30 words or less, what would you say to folks out there?
I would say if you like to party, then you come here, and if you like to be lame, you stay home.
There you have it. The immortal Biba Pickles. Biba, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
All right.